everyone. We are back for the next Summoner Scuffle. Today we have returning player Orange Lazarus taking on the mysterious tortugatron, who isn't so mysterious. We're all used to the shit posts everywhere and the tournaments, but we may finally put a voice to the name. Fuzzy, you have anything? How's it going, Fuzzy?
I am good. I'm excited about both the players and this matchup. Like this just promises to be a lot of fun all around.
Yes. What comes to mind immediately when you think Tortugatron and Orange Lazarus? What do you think of?
I think of exactly what I saw on your flyer. Like the turtle guy and the fruit.
All right. Well, with that, perhaps we shall go ahead and talk about the factions. Oh, we have 10 minutes. We have so much time. Look at
Yeah,
us.
we have
So
all right, I'll talk about
responsible.
the people. We have two old timers from first edition. Two people who
Hey.
go way back. Like the people that were like BFFs before you were part of the friend group. Like they're the people that make me feel like kind of the late entrant to like a group of college friends or something, and I'm like the work friend that kind of is sort of in the fringes, but like these guys have known each other forever, or so it seems. And Jaxic is like that too. So it's just super fun to have on people who've been part of the Summoner Wars community for so long and still find this game fun. Like it hasn't gotten old. They haven't moved on to something better. Like they're still here. And I think all these scuffles just kind of really pick at why. Why do we keep playing this? Why haven't, we gotten bored and moved on to something else? And why haven't they gotten bored? They're like the college friends that are still talking about the same college things. No, just kidding. I think they're
Playing
over the
this.
frat boy period of Summoner Wars First Edition.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, yeah, it is impressive to just have one game keep your attention for so long. I haven't even wrapped my mind around that. I've just been here for a lowly 2 years, just chilling, making memes.
Yep. And it's exciting. I mean, we're gonna also talk. I think as soon as we become, as soon as the stream hits the official part of the stream, we're also going to talk about some new blood. We have an exciting announcement that I'm going to tease a little bit and then wait to actually flesh out, since this seems to be the warm up period where I don't know if everyone's really listening yet.
Oh snap!
With that
Get ready for it.
said, let's talk factions.
Yeah. These factions. All right, I know Grognak. I don't know the other one. I don't even. Is that a new faction or something? I've never really. I don't
Well,
know. I
they've
don't know
been
what's going on there.
around for thousands of years and are only now starting to emerge from the shadows. Only now have the other races on Etheria kind of coming to grips with this long game faction.
Perhaps we should start with them then, if they're so old. Do you care to give a quick 2 cents on them? I don't. I've never really played them. Pretty new to this game.
Crimson Order, I definitely found to be an acquired taste. Like I took pot shots at just like having to kill all of those stupid cultists. Like I vented a little bit about them on the Discord, but I just find what they add to the meta really, really interesting. Like your Crimson Order games are going to be long games. You're likely to summon champions that you would never otherwise have the magic to summon.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're predictable in that they don't have all the movement tricks of some of the other new factions. They kind of have one game plan.
Yeah.
They don't, but they haven't gotten old. And I think it's just because when you're playing as them, the movement limitations mean you just need to play good Summoner Wars. It's honestly
Yep.
not as forgiving as, say, Sky Spear Avians, where you can misplace a bird and to some extent recover. Not if the bird dies, but You can reposition yourself much more easily. I mean, that's the hallmark of that faction. Whereas Crimson Order, you're kind of committed to your initial choices. You don't change your mind on a dime. And I do think also they lend themselves to long term strategy more than just short term tactics. And it's because of the commitment level of where you're placing your units and where you're placing your gates, and just the fact that you don't have a ton of wiggle room to change your mind. So even though it feels sort of mindless spamming units sometimes, I think they're also one of the thinkier factions because you do have to plan ahead for longer. You're more committed to your initial choices. So, I mean, they just add
Yeah.
something completely unique to the meta that I have definitely come to like after having gone through that period of, taking pot shots at them.
Well, I'm so glad I had I asked you to introduce this faction, because I'm really just still caught in the whirlwind of, oh, okay, they're kind of fun, and oh, there's a lot of cultists. That's kind of annoying. Like I haven't really moved past, we haven't gone any further. And yeah, that's interesting because yeah, you'd expect just with such limited movement, like every position counts. You can't just like, oh, okay, like I'm a little bit behind. I guess I'll just like like play coordinate and move forward a bunch this turn or something. Like you don't you don't have that option.
You don't really have big Hail Marys the way some factions do. Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
have 4 attack value warriors, and yes, you have Sekhmet, although that's super telegraphed that
Yeah.
creature is coming. But really, your success at this game is the accumulation of a lot of little moves. And I think at the beginning, I thought it was like, this is just little kids playing war. You summon your unit, it kills something, and then it dies. You summon a unit, and then it kills something, and it dies. Like, what's the fun of that? And I think a lot of people in general pothole on Summoner Wars at that level. Like sometimes you see board game reviewers who review a lot of games just try to play Summoner Wars like two kids playing war. You just sort of whack at each other mindlessly. And it's like, how's that fun? And
Yeah.
I think Crimson Order, you can play it that way. Just sort, and maybe it's a good game. Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to introduce new players to Summoner Wars, but I think it's not bad to have a faction you can hand to a new player and kind of summoning units and just sort of wailing away at the opponent's front lines. Basically
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
But as you get deeper into this faction, I think what I said comes into play is that you're committed to your early choices, and you need to be strategic about about what your long-term plan is, how you're going to approach the other faction, because
Oh,
you're not going to change your mind really quickly. It's not like wayfarers explode to the other side of the board out of nowhere.
yeah. 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 So we roll a lot of dice, we get a lot of value, but that's it. That's the faction.
I'll say this, the matchup is going to be fun. I think there are
Mm,
other matchups where we sit there hoping that they'll do something exciting, and instead they kind of just chip away at each other, and we're struggling a little to make the game feel more textured and alive than just
yeah.
trading units. But I think the nature of Tundra Orcs means that we will have big, exciting moments. We will have some big, exciting dice rolls and unexpected MVP and just all around craziness.
Yeah,
It's going to be long enough that those lightnings, that a lot of lightnings will be rolled
yeah.
by both sides.
Yes, yes. And hopefully, yeah, hopefully Orange will play some fighters for us.
Oh my gosh. This is what I want to see. I want to see Ragnar give Grognak a lot of boosts,
Okay.
and I want to see those fighters go ham. That's
All
my
right.
dream.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? So yeah, I'd imagine a lot of the fight will be in the midfield because like what else can Grognak do? And that sometimes you don't really feel great trading tit for tat against Daymar. Like you don't want to make it easy for just warriors to attack wherever you want to, but like Grognak might have the like raw firepower to just to compete with those warrior dice. You know, if we have a little bit of luck on our side, we might be able to do it. Might be able to threaten Daymar if he's tries thinks he's safe just behind a single cultist. I don't know. We don't really have assassination tricks here. Just a bunch of big units and then for glory. But yeah,
Well, I think we will see from these two players a fair bit of patient trading and then the big explosive moment. And I also think Tundra Orcs lends itself to making the board state unpredictable. Sky Beer Avians, again, that, movement is the theme. Tundra Orcs doesn't precisely have crazy movement, but it has unpredictable movement. You don't necessarily know where those fighters are going to end up. You could have a charger come in, get that extra move, big floor glory turn, die. So I think you can have the board state shake out in strange ways.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there will be a cluster. Neither of them can really get to the opponent's side, in 2 turns. So there will be a lot of midfield clashes, but I think there will be surprises at what do both sides want to do with the side to side movement. I think that's always key with Crimson Order. Just
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have a memory of you and Vexer talking about this during one of your during I think one of your league showcases. Maybe
It
I'm
wouldn't
getting those
surprise me.
confused.
In one ear, out the other when it comes to Crimson Order. Well, we've hit the time, so we should get started. But do you want to talk about an extra special thing real quick before that?
Yes, I do. So this has been in the works for a while. One of the pieces of feedback we've gotten from just the apps launching is just kind of been yeah, I'll quote Chewy talking about the Discord is that like the game's a little bit intimidating to just memorize all these cards, and also even though the community is great, it feels a little bit like walking in on someone else's dinner party. Like you kind of barge in the front door and they're like, hi, and like, do I belong here? Like what's going on? Like you guys seem to go back to to those college days. You've walked in on a party of old college friends and you don't quite know where or how to jump in. So Eden is bringing over some ideas from Blood Bowl of setting up what in Blood Bowl was a rookie league and a minor league because they're sports themed. And here we've decided to call it the Summoner Academy. But it's the same
Woohoo!
thing. It's going to be 2 levels of beginner tournaments where when you sign up, you get a mentor. And these are designed to be just low-key, fun, organized games where, it's organized enough that you have an opponent and you don't have to stress out about where to find an opponent because, one has been handed to you and you will play games on a schedule, you'll play, it'll be pool play and then knockout tournament play. So we provide that much structure, but it's both an intro to the game and an intro to the community. And I feel like it's something that we've needed for a long time, but those of us who are regulars have been regulars for long enough that we've forgotten what it feels like to be new. We're like, hey, come to our dinner party, and just kind of have no idea what it's like when you walk through that door and you're like, okay, these people really seem to like each other, but am I supposed to barge in? Am I supposed to say hi? Like, where do I begin? So just this whole process of having mentors and having opponents who are in the same position as you and as new as you are. I think it's really exciting, and just the fact that the games are going to be 45-minute games, which I think most people come in expecting and are thrown a little bit by the 3-day clock. Like, what is this? You
Yeah.
just you know like you people compete this way, so there's just a lot of new ideas, new blood afloat, so I am super excited about this.
Yeah, so I see the Apprentice Cup is purely for new or inexperienced summoners, and even to the point where we've outlawed some of the more complicated factions. That's just
Yes.
nope. This is just totally new. And then the Journeyman, am I understanding right, is just a step above that. Bit too much
Yep.
experience, but
It's the
still want to
season 2.
participate.
It's the season 2 where you don't necessarily feel comfortable jumping into League,
Yeah.
but you want just that one more season of handholding. Or in the case of people who've been around for a pretty long time and are regulars on the Discord, but haven't felt comfortable actually jumping into competitive play. The Journeyman Cup is another option of like, okay, this isn't the beginner pool because you're past that, but it's kind of the shallow end of competitive play,
Mm-hmm.
because I found it intimidating to feel like I was jumping into League and like everything I did was public, like my game results, my, games themselves, it just felt like it would go on my permanent record. And I think a lot of people feel that way. So
Mm-hmm.
really just setting up these beginner tiers of competition is hopefully a more comfortable way to ease into competitive play if you don't think of that as being your thing, and ease into this crazy community, where we're actually like people are talking on Discord right now about the Summoner Academy, but the main interest seems to be learning Spanish from this academy. So I mean, it's
Yes.
like we're an international community with a lot of goofy in jokes, but
Yes.
we are friendly, and hopefully this will be a showcase of that.
Yes. Well, I can tell our contestants to get started, but maybe while they accept the link, you could tell me a little bit about the mentor program as well.
You know what? We're just learning. There are a lot of Scuffle alums who've been on the Scuffle who might find themselves getting arm twisted into mentoring for this inaugural season if we don't get enough signups. You have been warned. Same with people who watch the Scuffle. And really, I feel like everyone suffers from imposter syndrome with this game. Like I think everyone is a little bit convinced that they're not as good as they actually are. So if you're on the fence about
What?
whether you can mentor, then the answer is yes, please. It's I don't know what it is about
Just
this
a
game.
helping
Like
hand, someone to talk to is, and if anything, just that all that's needed.
it's literally just a matter of having been on the Discord long enough to know what all the cards do and reassure new people that like we don't bite. Even though you and I might reply to every other comment with skill issues. Like that's because
We're
that's
being
us making
friendly. We're
fun
not
of
being
each other.
mean,
Yes. Well,
obviously.
no.
Clearly.
We're shit talking each other. We're shit talking each other because we're those college friends that go way back. Like we don't jump onto new players and tell them they have skill issues. I don't know. Tortugatron might. You never know.
Yes. And so for the mentors, like for both, if you're signing up as a mentor or for a mentor, like what would you expect? Is it sort of whatever you want from it? Like you could just message someone, hey, help with this turn, or help with in general, or I just want to chat, or like is there anything specific to expect from
I
mentors?
think really whatever you want from it, like just somewhere to ask those dumb questions. Because I've
Yes.
definitely, I mean, there's two positions I've been in. One, when you just have so many questions, you don't know where to begin. Like, how do I word this general, like, cloud of confusion? And then two, just, I think the friendships start when you just have someone to talk, when not just having someone to talk strats with, but when you have like kind of the conversation you can have without thinking about it really, like, and this can be with other beginners too. I mean, if anything, like, one thing the mentors can do is just like, I think, be a little bit less shy about being like, hey, why don't, like how about we have my mentee play with your mentee, or we'll do a teams game, or we'll do something over voice, or we'll play an exhibition game with each other, with this other mentor. And it really can be whatever you want it to be. And Eden's the one who's lived it. Eden is the one who is bringing this all over from the Blood Bowl community. And, the way he sees it is essentially it just works.
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, we're wrapping our heads around this brand new idea, brand new concept. And for Eden, it's like, just kind of directly airlifted over into our game and our community. So this format has been tested, and it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me as someone who, as a board gamer, really isn't all that comfortable, or, didn't come in all that comfortable with the ins and outs of Discord and video game communities. Like Eden mentioned, that his approach to Discord was basically join a lot of them, hop in, quickly assess, does this, does this make online gaming more fun, and, bail from the ones that aren't fun or aren't cool. And I think for me, Summoner Wars has been such a one-off community, like probably just not something that's going to happen again, that, it's definitely something I can relate to. Just this idea that, you have this board game you really like, you discovered that the Reddit is dead and Board Game Geek is dead, and finally you just hop onto the Discord because that's where all the action and all the conversations seem to be. And it's just kind of this wall of text channels and people throwing around all this terminology that makes no sense whatsoever. And there are times when you just don't have the energy to ask publicly, what the hell is a donkey stack? Like, why do people keep talking about donkey stacks? Like, I can't Google it. The concept does not exist on Google. It exists only on the Discord. And the mentor is someone you can just kind of ask quietly, what is a donkey stack? Why do these people talk about donkey stacks? Who is Donkey? Why should I care who is Donkey?
The legend. Yes. Yeah, so I mean,
Yes. The legend, a very good player who originated some of the very early strats of Summoner Wars Second Edition when it was really brand new and people were figuring it out. But I thought for a long time it was just 3 units stacked vertically. I didn't know it was 3 units stacked vertically, sheltering behind an enemy gate. Like the sheltering behind the gate part was the part that I would have had no idea.
yes. I'll still call it sometimes if it's just a few units sheltering, but we should. I just went ahead and gave them the go, so we should go look at this link. But everyone, come come sign up. This I love this so much. I hope we get a bunch of people to join. Whether you're a new player and want to join in and participate, or you want to come and be a mentor, head over to the Discord, check it out, ask any questions you have. And yeah, and feel free to ask questions in the Twitch chat right now too. We'll
Yep.
keep talking about this as the game
Yep,
goes
I
on. But
see Eden
I'm gonna pull up
in
this link.
Twitch right now. So Eden
Yes,
is in
yes.
Twitch, able to answer questions, and we're excited. And
Yes,
now we have a
yes.
game to play.
Now we have a game. They might be a turn or two ahead of us, so we can just click on like turn 1 and we will go through them together if we've missed a turn here. Let me know whenever you've pulled up the link. Take your time.
Okay. I am just are they on turn 1 for you? I'm actually just sitting at a screen that says your opponent may summon units. Am I like that doing that thing where I'm behind again?
You might. I think you are. They've
Okay,
taken. Yeah.
All right, let me refresh and try to do this again. Okay, now it's playing. All right,
Okay.
I'm watching
I'm gonna.
Shank, I'm watching a Frost Shaman, and I'm watching Brognac.
Do you want to just click on the little icon to and go back to the start of turn 1, and then we can both press play together and experience it together.
Okay, I am trying. Okay. All right, here, and I now have the play button.
Okay, you ready to press
Okay.
play?
Oh wait, no, here. Let me go back again. I didn't
Yes,
realize.
yes.
Okay,
We're
okay.
taking it.
1, 2. All right, all right, all right. 1, 2, 3. Play.
There we go.
Okay,
All right.
okay. So Grognak is moving up, and Frost Shaman is shooting the gate. Is that what we're watching?
Yep.
All right. Your Twitch stream is frozen for me, and I'm just gonna ignore that for now.
Yes, I just saw fighter attacks the warrior. Oh, the fighter is stealing the gate spot. I like that. And interesting. So we got another special fighter dipping out to get the warrior again. Oopsies, having some stream troubles. Well, we'll just keep going. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, but I am having I have two windows open, and your stream is not like usually your stream is just a second behind, and now it is.
Yeah, no, my stream just had an issue. My stream just dropped for a second, so you might need to press the refresh button.
Okay, let me get one. Man, I feel like this happens every time. You know what? I'm just gonna go straight to the end. All right, we've got. I this is kind of aggravating, but
if you don't mind, I'll narrate the turns as I see them right now.
Yes, I'm watching
so
right
we
now.
just had the fighter do do a bunch of damage. We left the gate spot, so we had the option to hold the gate spot there, but nope, we moved over to the warrior. So let's see now the Crimson Order turn 1. We had both gates. We have the convert. And the death right for some early damage on Grognak, and that's nice. I mean, we're we're inviting Grognak right over to our gate. See how that goes for us. Another convert, just to keep everything up and alive. And there's Shonk. it was prophesized. We've heard about this. The gate from Grognak to keep us safe so we can do this advance. It's a little bit weird because it's like we're not actually going to be able to put pressure down the side anymore, but that's fine. We have Grognak up where we want him. Ooh, and pressure on the 10 health gate is always good. For Grognak as well. I just saw Grata say 3, 2, 1, stream ends. Great timing.
Quick game.
That is my stream for you. All right, now I'm seeing some attacks on Shonk. Wow, these players play fast. What's going on here? Damn, are going big. So Shonk is already down to 2 health the turn that he summoned, and now we're all caught up. That explained the game perfectly to you, Fuzzy. Everything makes sense.
It totally makes sense that Shonk is down to 2 health. Totally.
All it takes is a warrior and a priest. These priests are interesting to me because they seem so powerful, and I'm always playing them, but then they also seem kind of like a trap because they just like get in my way, and then I go to the other lane, and I have like Damar's surrounded on all sides by priests because I thought I was so clever, and I can't actually move at all. I'm not really sure how to use the priests most optimally.
I feel like that's part of the movement puzzle, and it's also part of the gate placement puzzle. I don't know if you remember, like kind of early when we were learning the factions, people liked placing those gates, one space apart and having Damar shoot between them. And then I think figured out pretty quickly that was just one nightmare movement bottleneck. So I mean, it's definitely something that it's you play with, you adjust. Some games it feels great to have Damar shooting for 5.
Yes.
And other games, they're basically a traffic cone.
Yeah, it feels like maybe you want like them like it's a few here, a few there, so you can sort of like, I don't know, move between them. And wow, these fighters are rolling this game. Being able to claim that gate as well. Yeah, Grognak has gotten in there. We have claimed the spots.
And one thing that's interesting about this is I would actually give Tundra Orcs ranged advantage in this game, not by a lot, but Crimson Order just can be so awful against a really strong ranged faction. And now everything is within Blood Begotten Warrior range. So we're keeping it exciting fast. We're getting
Yeah. Yeah, would you expect like when I think like Grognak has like the two modes of like you're getting in there or you play Targan and you stay as far back as possible. Um
I
and they're both
think
fun. Yeah.
Oh no, I was saying I think with Crimson Order, you play the deck as it's drawn. You don't have as many discard opportunities because you know that you're getting a lot of magic and you're not cycling through your deck as fast. So I think a lot of the challenge is you play what you got. If you draw a target early, maybe you make up your mind from the beginning to play this annoying ranged game. And if you get a lot of fighters early and a couple gates in your hand early, you charge forward.
Uh-huh.
And same with Crimson Order. Same with Crimson Order in that, yeah, I feel like Crimson Order, a lot of the units, I wouldn't call them samey, but you're gonna get a decent distribution of them. But how many priests someone might end up being just a matter of how many priests you got. Are they at at the top of the deck or the bottom? I do struggle with this. What happens if your hand gets clogged and you're afraid to discard?
Yeah.
But when it's not extreme, I think it just makes the texture of the games really interesting and varied.
This matchup, the more I think about it, the more I just feel like this has just got to be such an intense matchup because, yeah, if Grognak just tries to get in there, it's just going to be a brutal fight in the middle for like the entire game until one side just gives too much ground and is annihilated.
I think this matchup, more than many, just showcases what Tundra Orcs are made of. In
Hmm.
that you're gonna see Primal Fury. Like that's one of the ways to get past that wall of cultists. You're gonna see Floor Glory, and those like it's and there's so few games where like fighters are kind of there's some games I think where fighters are a distraction. You kind of hope for them, but if they like there's better things you can do than hope for fighter roles.
Yeah.
But this one is where I think you want to you want to summon enough fighters, and you will because you'll summon a lot of your deck that frenzy will proc. Well, or you could do that. You could go over 2. I missed the
A little
reroll.
rough.
What happened?
Uh, the reroll happened on the Charger since Grognak
Nah.
was further away. And we did not get the
Oh, of
frenzy.
course, he's too far from the fighter to reroll that attack to begin with.
Yep. And yeah, Grognak's getting out of there to avoid the Doom cultists. Maybe we can just chill for a bit. But yeah, it also just highlights like Grognak is one of those factions that can really enjoy some extra magic. Like
Yes.
like, oh, I'll play Shonk and all of my smashers? Sure. Like, so
And Grognak has some of the movement limitations that Crimson Order does. I mean, they have movement tricks like chargers and fighters stealing spots, but Grognak himself, despite Primal Fury, I think one of the things you always have to think about with Grognak is positioning him. He is mostly limited to those 2 spaces a move, 3 moves per turn. That is kind of the bread and butter of Summoner Wars. And you don't have the fancy footwork that can get Grognak out of a tough spot.
mm-hmm.
You don't completely lack it because Primal Fury is kind of an amazing card. Just amazing thematically and really important to give Grognak some movement. But you have that same movement calculation as Crimson Order does, in that neither side can really bend the movement rules enough to be able to, make things up on the fly. You know, you're
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're pretty committed to your board state as Grognek as well. If you want to strategically retreat, you do it with those two moves you have. The two squares and the three moves per turn. But
yeah.
Grognek does have enough tricks to spice things up.
It's looking a little bit rough right now. That's a lot. That's a lot of cultists on the board.
When does a Crimson Order game not look a little rough at this stage? This is what
It's
every single Crimson Order game looks like when you're kind of midway through the decks.
yes. It's true about the devout cultists too. It's like every once in a while you get a game with devout cultists where it's just like there's so many of them. Like the other side of that coin is that just means you just get so much magic as the opponent. Like it's
I still remember my League Sand Goblins game, 17 devout cultists, and I summoned Uncle Sparks multiple times, and I think the other two champs too, and
that's
still
just
lost.
ridiculous. Daymar rolled a special, fighter did not. That is what we call a skill issue. I need like a buzzer to like press every time. Oh
But
yeah,
look,
that'd be fun to keep track. Someone in chat keep track of every time a special is rolled. We'll see if they average out by the end of this. What were you saying?
oh my gosh, it's too much math for me at this hour.
Yeah, no, it's chat's responsibility. Call forth already. It's a big hand there.
It's always interesting to calculate econ with Crimson Order because they're always going to have that board state of seemingly unstoppable cultists, or just too many of them. And
Yeah,
counting cards in discard or draw piles is always misleading because of those two call forths and the two converts as well,
yeah.
and Casimira, and all those devout cultists that have a 1 in 3 chance of coming back. But I mean, it feels so good when you're playing a faction like Tundra Orcs and you actually get them down to the last card. You win on econ against this econ machine.
Yeah, yeah.
But at this stage, I just see it as too early to call, too early to card count.
Masher goes down in a turn. What can you expect? Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, we got another Smasher and 4 Glory or something. It's interesting to like, can Grognak play this matchup from behind? I mean, what else can you do? I don't know anything about Crimson Orb. Like, this faction confuses me so much. It's a lot of cultists on the board right now. I'm pretty sure.
You
What I'm
know,
seeing.
I think my dad once took, like, there's some business trip with like China. He had to entertain like some visiting Chinese, and they found half off Broadway tickets and went to see Cats while extremely jet lagged. And
That's
I
an
asked him
experience.
afterward. Well, I asked him afterwards how it went, and he just sort of looks at me and goes, "Lots of cats." And that's how I feel about those cultists.
That story was absolutely worth it to explain the fundamental experience of facing Baron Daymar.
Some productions really don't need a more in-depth review than lots of cats.
Lots of cats. And lots of dead cultists right now. Kill the Doom cult. I mean, it's interesting that we just are prioritizing getting out of the Doom cultist way, because sometimes as an aggressive summoner, I'm just going to take like 5 damage to Doom cultist this game, and I don't even care. And I
Which
recognize
way?
that might not be the move. Yeah.
No, I'm watching which way he's going to frenzy.
My instinct was forward, but that's actually
I would.
like totally wrong, right? Because you want to block that warrior. Yeah.
I love how I can sound educated by just having you answer the question. I was actually not thinking fast enough to be sure, but I agree. I'll just claim I agree. Good call, Ben.
Yeah,
Good play, Orange Lazarus.
couldn't have done it without you. It's yeah. I mean, these warriors are warriors overextended ever? Like that is like warriors don't have anything like they need to be within 3 of Daymar, like you might expect. So it's like even if you just like send a warrior after that smasher, would that even be so bad? I don't
Sometimes I
know.
find you need to plan warriors a couple turns ahead because they can't move far enough up in one
Yeah,
turn to attack the
yeah,
thing that you really want them to attack. That's why I keep saying Crimson Order isn't just like little kids playing that card game War. Like it's like warriors, I think, are a multi turn positioning investment. And against Tundra Orcs, it's always just extremely stressful because of how quickly warriors and smashers can kill each other, as well as
mm.
Shonk. All right, blocking that gate, I would have expected,
Yeah.
but they can't
Um,
fully block the other one.
yeah, the
So this
sad
is
thing
what I
here
mean
is
by that weird side to side action.
yeah. Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about this smasher just coming in and hitting the warrior here. Like we're forced to not really be able to attack anything with this warrior, and the smasher is just gonna come in and enjoy that. I mean, I guess we take out this gate. We're happy with that. That limits Grognak's options on the board. Hopefully, Grognak draws another gate. Actually, now that you mention it, did not one shot the shaman. Too much to hope for. Perfect for glory range though. But not really anything like worth for glorying right now when you have so many cultists.
That is actually the other problem with this matchup is that you might have the big cards in hand and really not have anything worth playing them on for a while.
Did we just shoot a smasher instead of shooting the 1 health fighter? I believe we did.
Huh.
Hmm. Ah, it's that one card. Imagine knowing what you're talking about. Like, couldn't be me. This happens to me so frequently where I'm
This
like, yes,
happens
they
with,
missed that
yes,
one unit. I'm so happy it lived.
this is the Crimson Order hallmark. Oh, look at that pretty. Like, is Tortugatron like writing subliminal messages? Like what begins with P? Like, oh,
Hmm.
I know, Ben. He's writing subliminal messages to free Palestine.
Oh, goodness.
He's telling him to join the Discord. Oh, but
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
okay. In all seriousness, that triangle formation means a lot of units on both sides are going to die when they're kitty corner like that.
Yeah, it's good that we have the forward gate. uh yeah, I can analyze things right now. It feels like what does Grognak do here? Huh? I mean, I guess resource wise, we're like still kind of balanced, but
That's the
um,
weird thing about Tundra Orcs is that resource wise, they can definitely hang. But if his hand is clogged, it is so painful to unclog against Crimson Order. Like, you can't just dump cards hoping for a gate. And not that I think he would be desperate to right now anyway. And by desperate, I mean willing to do dumb things as opposed to just really, really hoping you get a gate.
yeah.
But I would say he does not. Let's see. He doesn't want the big one to get blown up, that's for sure.
And another smash shaman. So is the smasher not going towards that warrior? It's sure as hell not going there. Do we have brutal force?
Yeah, it is. We must.
That shaman's never gonna miss with one reroll. Impossible. Couldn't miss. Easy. Yeah, I mean, I guess prioritizing warriors, that seems like probably the strategy when facing Crimson Order. I like it. Keeping Grognek's health. Skill issue.
And this is what I mean about unpredictable board states too, is brutal force also just moves units around, and it also makes the Tundra, I would say you end up sort of mispredicting what Tundra Orcs board state is going to look like when they've set up for a brutal force turn.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, like they can get their 2 attacks while, you know, kind of covering the other, you know, while not leaving flanks uncovered. Although that smasher is not long for this world.
There's always more warriors, somehow. No one knows how.
You know what's funny? I've so rarely, when I play, and I'm not saying that I play optimally at all, but I've rarely had call forth 2 warriors work out. Like, it always seems like I need a cultist or something else more.
It
Like, even though
does.
you think that's the dream, right? You know, the 9 warriors is the dream. And I have to say, I don't know if it's me or the nature of the faction, but I rarely accomplish that dream.
Wow, we one-shot the smasher. Beautiful. Can we one-shot the shaman too?
Yes, we can.
Can they
Will
be
we?
stopped? Nope. Alright, I mean, this is the perfect... Surely we have a For Glory. We're like half our deck in. I doubt you discard it.
Oh god, no. Which is the problem. There's nothing you just kind of dump in this deck.
In either deck, you're saying?
Well, I mean, Crimson Order, I mean, you know what? Crimson Order, I dump early Sekhmet. Like, I've just never gotten, like, early Sekhmet to work. And I always seem to draw early Sekhmet, so not bitter or anything.
That's one card out of 30, though, that you're saying you're dumping.
I probably under discard. Yeah, it's probably a weakness in my game.
Or
at least my Crimson Order game. But you were saying?
I've heard that's very successful for Crimson Order. Just not discarding anything.
There have been plenty of times where I look back at a game and think I should have discarded Deathrite. Like, not because it isn't a good event, but because I held on to it in kind of a hand-clogging way, trying to make something happen.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense as like the one to drop, sort of, if you're early on and need it. Do we have a Primal Fury? Are we just trying to Grognak have a Death Wish? All shall be revealed. Are we Primal Furying to kill that warrior?
He's gotta have a Primal Fury.
No, this is crazy though. No way do we. I mean, I wonder if Orange is keeping track of how many warriors have been played, and there's only like one more that can come out right now. I have no idea. This is... You do not want 2 warriors responding to this, though. I mean, maybe you do. If 2 warriors respond to it, I don't know, you Primal Fury again, kill them all. I'm very curious about this turn. Like, what is this, a calculated risk sort of thing?
Awesome if he had 2 Primal Furies back to back.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to read this board.
The freeze is nice. I mean, that at least shuts out one of the potential units that can attack. At least Grognek's not getting attacked by 3 warriors next turn. Yeah, and Damar's limited movements. Like all the things I want to do. I want two warriors over here. I want this Doom Cult over here. I want Damar moving forward, placing a gate, and I want something else moving forward to block this forward gate. That's 5 moves that I want right now. Don't think I'm gonna get
And
those.
if he ends up with, I'm not saying I would like have the moxie to do this, but if 3 warriors are committed to that side of the board, no, okay, he did not have 3 warriors committed to that side of the board, so
Unfortunate.
I will leave that thought dangling and incomplete.
Okay, okay.
I was gonna say it's they're constrained geographically because now they have to waddle if they want to get anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we pull out Targan, except we won't because we don't have it. And Damar and the gate. Sorry, I guess we just call servants, faithful servants. Never fails us. And the gate, and
And the
probably
gate.
also the faithful servants, just so we don't get like one shot. Yeah, so taking a big risk with Grognak all of a sudden, but big risk, big fun.
It's always an econ gain when the summoner tanks hits and your units live just that little bit longer.
Got it.
I think in this game, just having smashers not die in one turn is kind of relevant.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a game of one-shotting smashers and warriors.
I mean, Tortugatron is down to 6 cards in his deck, and I've not been card counting.
What have the discards
And
been
one
so
more,
far?
but he's got another call forth.
Okay.
And
Orange has discarded
and two.
3, Tortugatron has discarded 2, so very low discards this game.
That sounds about par for the course.
Yeah, and you think Tundra Orcs can come back with some sort of crazy late game shenanigans?
I actually do. The thing is, Daimler still has what a transfuse to wait, did we use did we use an early convert while I was fighting with my
Yes, we did.
browser? Yes, okay, I thought so. Okay, so one call forth, one transfuse, and one
Oh my goodness. Is Grognak
convert.
gonna
Is that right?
die? I'm so scared. I'm sorry. One transfuse, one call fire,
Wait a
one
minute. Wait. Is he reachable once he primal furies backwards?
no. I mean, yes.
Yeah. All right. What are you doing?
But
Well, he's got 6
maybe
life. Are
it's
we going to play
fine.
1 health Grognak?
One health Grognak, best Grognak? Wow, that sucks.
Oof. That
That is
sucks.
not what we wanted to see. Is also not what we wanted to see. Probably wanted. I think we would have rather just have our shaman kill ourselves than not do anything. That's rough. That's rough. Hopefully they don't have another warrior in hand. I guess that's. I mean, but call forth. There's no way you don't go for another 4 on Grognak. Maybe 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He called the call forth.
Man, these two are great at the fast turns.
How many games do you think they have cumulatively between them?
I have no idea. Maybe we'll ask. Surely they have a running tally in their bedrooms.
I think that was also part of the donkey mystique is how does someone get as good as he is on as few games as he plays?
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right, Jexic shows up to guess 3,000 games between them.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
No, I mean, that is how you play fast. Oof.
Yeah, this is Terrible. Just in second edition. Big misses. Ooh. All right. We need another shonk, maybe. Damar's at 3 now. Maybe some big slip up on Damar's part.
Oof. Rate game over if Grognak doesn't have a gate in hand. There's 2 summoning spots, and
Yeah. Or we need to. Oh, or that.
well, more of that. All right, so we're not dead yet.
About as close as it comes, especially with convert. That's going to be kind of hard to play around, but I don't know. Maybe if we can clear all these warriors, like, call me crazy,
Well,
but we'd have a
a
shot.
little bit low. Like he's been a little bit low magic for a decent chunk of this game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's been at under 5 magic for a lot of it, and I don't know if he's just kind of summoning commons out of desperation, or had hand clog issues, or what.
Yeah.
Where's that smasher even gonna go?
Yeah, that's rough because we really want to kill that warrior.
Another brutal force? Brutal force? But even
Yeah.
well, even
I
so,
mean, we still die to
all we
convert,
need
but
is convert. Yeah.
it's fine. Surely they won't have it. Surely it's the last card, right? Easy.
Yeah, surely Tortugatron already discarded it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, B tier card.
Overrated.
Looking bad for OL here. I can't fail to agree, but OL
We're
sometimes has tricks
searching
up his sleeve.
for hope. I feel like the old timers at this game were such masters at like winning on 1 life Grognak. Like that, I feel like that was a thing with the master set.
Yeah.
But the master set did not have convert.
Yeah.
All right,
That's a dynamic I'm
Glory.
really. Yeah, okay.
No. I don't have anything.
Nah, and neither do I really.
I'm spitting out. I'm spitting out total gibberish.
All right, we're gonna 3 for 3 this warrior, and then they're not gonna have convert. Damn. Next time.
And that cultist is coming back just to add insult to injury. Nope.
Nope. We're fine.
Insult not added to injury, but injury is profound.
Smasher just over there chilling. I mean, I guess like punishes if they go all at Grognak. It's like, well, there's just a full health Smasher over there, but that kind of sucks too. I don't know. I suppose this was the only way to like get all of the attacks we needed. Like we needed to move both the Charger and Grognak, and that's only going to give us 1 attack. So we kind of need to also play the Shaman, and maybe we're just so behind that we're willing to go for like the lucky 5-on-5 on the Warrior. Hope to get it. All right. I mean, so that's at least 2 dice on Grognak. But do we have the convert? Before like both converts
It's
got
just
played and neither of us
silly
picked
if
up
he
on
doesn't have the convert.
it. Yeah, it would be. It would be.
Yeah, I could pretend that I had some insight into whether he has convert based on how long he's taking with these moves relative to how fast he normally plays, but it would be complete BS. I will say I'm interested in playing in person when the Seattle group meets up because I'm quite curious whether you can get kind of a better poker style read on does he have the cards he needs.
It's hard not to like talk about it. Like when you're like in person, you're like, oh, if I just had one more card, you'd be dead. What was it like the one in-person game we did? I was like, oh, this is a tough decision. And you're like, yeah, Ben's deciding whether or not to discard Cyberuk. And it was totally right. just that extra minute in the end of turn, whether or not to discard is says it all.
I want to know whether I could actually put that into practice.
No convert. Last card? Deal issue? Alright, I wanna see this cultist miss. I am given what I want. Orange has one more turn in here to make some magic happen. Will he do it? Our Smasher survived at full health, as promised. I don't even know how we keep Grognak safe on this board. Whoa, 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 whoa. Does Damar's gonna have a servant, right? Just had a panic
longer
moment.
than it should.
Okay,
There
good.
we go.
Is there still like a way to? I guess there isn't a way to kill a fighter. A fighter just wins.
Fighter.
Oh my goodness! No way.
He's gotta
That'd be
have a
so
fighter.
crazy. That would be the craziest win. All it is just a what? It's just a 4 for 4 and a 1 and 3.
Too far away for Grognak to even influence.
Just getting too greedy. We can still go for it. We can still go for it. I mean, no way you don't if you have it.
Being done to the universe if we don't go for it.
Yeah.
If we don't go for glory fighter, not that that helps the frenzy.
I don't actually know which is. Surely for glory fighter is worse than not for glory fighter.
Oh, that's true because he could die without the reroll.
Yeah, I mean, what's the? I guess you just have to compare the odds of killing itself versus the odds of 2-on-2 melee, which I don't know offhand.
I think you're right, but the coolness factor of a four glory fighter generally tends to overwhelm common sense.
Yeah, so it's not deck building where we can just throw an axe on a fighter. It's for fun. Put it Orange.
No. Oh wait. Does this mean he has a plan? Does this mean he has like something brilliant up his sleeve that we're not seeing?
I hate competitive players. I'm coming out on it now. I'm taking a stand. Not willing to have fun ever.
He can't not see that fighter play. But all right,
there's no way he doesn't go for this.
Does he have 2 gates? Wait, does he's two gates or something, right?
How do you not?
Are there 2 gates left to have? I want to know what is better than. I actually want to know what.
I mean, so there's 2 options. 1, he doesn't see it, or 2, he thinks his chances of winning are better going for the econ here than going for the wacko fighter play. That he thinks that he has a better chance.
Does he have one gate? He'd better have 1 gate. He's out of it. He can't not see it. There's no way. Right? There is no way in hell someone like OL does not see sort of the obvious play. Like the obvious.
And OL is known for like spotting the weird.
No.
Lethal. There's no gate. Oh, is the fighter gonna go for it? But then we just die to this warrior. I don't know. We might need to throw this at OL's door because this doesn't seem like it. I guess he
wanted a fighter he could reroll. But I mean that cultist is just yeah, okay.
Yep, and then we die.
I get.
And even if we had rerolled, we need a second reroll to come back. Otherwise, that Doom Cultist just goes forward and we just kill it.
Yeah, that too. I wonder if you just miss the Doom Cultist. That I actually could see just missing in the heat of the moment.
Yes. No, they're definitely playing fast and not like being try hard about it, which is much appreciated. But still, I'm still gonna get on his case about it because I can.
No, I feel let down by not having the fighter Hail Mary. I don't care if it's a Hail Mary. Like, can you imagine like the glory that comes to that fighter if the play succeeds? Like their family is set for life. You know, they
Ah. Will the cultist go 0 for 2? Vesna Brana, yeah, that's just insult to injury. Like, there's
that's
no
just
way
you can't not plan for what if the cultist whiffs.
Yeah, right. Well, and if you're, I don't know.
All right, Ben. We have 2 seconds. Do you go kill shot first or attack other shit first?
Personally, I always do kill shot first. But I think it is 100% a personality thing. Some of us are good people and some of us aren't.
All right, tortugatron is.
What a game! Is there a comeback coming? Is there a way? Is there a shot? We're running out of units. We're only gonna have 2 magic next turn. Vesna Brana is gonna chill for a while, but we don't really mind. Are both transfuses gone? I believe they are. The 11% whip, says Jexic. Yeah, not draining any more health from Daymar.
And you freed up a summoning spot. Okay.
This was Orange Lazarus's plan all along. This is what it takes.
Well, now how do you keep Grognak safe still? That Doom Cultist is not easy to get rid of.
It sure isn't. Where's the convert? Freeze, says
Freeze! Oh, freeze the Doom Cultist!
Freeze is in the pile. No way.
No, we've seen
one.
We've seen one freeze.
There's no way we have both freezes at this point in the game.
There's
no way we have another one. It's good in this one?
You're likely to have units in your face rather than,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I honestly don't know Tundra Orcs well enough to say if it's good, but you're likely to find uses for it. Because Grognak is likely in the fray, and there's likely a trillion cultists in his face, and possibly a warrior. Yeah, Jexic freeze is underrated. I agree.
I wish it was better.
I agree with that too.
I feel like I can count on 2 hands the amount of times I've played freeze. And I mean, that may be a personal failing, but And I do like it fits the theme so well of like let's just shut down your options. I really like it in theory. It's too hard to play.
Whatever this is not looking.
I probably played it that many times last week.
I wonder if Grognak's trying to just save magic. What are we doing?
Do we require the 2-on-2?
Wait, what are we doing?
Does Orange know how Doom Cultist work now? We're picking on him so much. This is sketchy. Does Grognak just move 2 spaces to the other side? Is that what I'm missing? Because then the warrior doesn't have a good target. Yeah, I like Grognak moving to the other side, because then the warrior doesn't have a good target, and oh, no, we have a gate. Cool. Orange does, in fact, know how to play this game.
Isn't that
Everyone is
something?
shocked.
Isn't it amazing? Like I go on and on about gates a turn ago, and then you let 4 minutes pass, and I've forgotten that gates are a thing.
And
Like in between
so they
that with
are.
and now, I
Yes.
completely forgot about gates and the existence thereof.
So we can go big on this gate, but Daymar's probably not going to want to waste that much more health willy-nilly.
This is going down to the bottom of the decks.
I'm calling it right now. I think Tundra Orc wins this. I think they do. I think they've scraped it somehow, some way. No one knows what dark art Orange is using here. What do you do? Because your pressure is just so stymied. I feel like you need to like regroup for a second. Sucks that we don't have another transfuse for Vesna. We've played both Call Force, right? So we're just like out of juice as Daymar. Like, what cards do you think we have left? Convert.
Yes. I mean, Crimson Order gets so confusing to card count when you have all these cultists coming back, but you count converts and call forths.
Yes, you do.
Like, my brain can handle 4. I'm sure they do experiments on animals to see like how high they can count, and there's got to be a cutoff at like 4-ish, and that's how much I can handle.
Yeah, I'm with you. Vessa's gonna shoot that shaman for 4 as well. And count
And
that
you're
high.
asking about priests.
And there they are. Solution, just play them all at the end when you draw them. I like it. Alright, don't 4 for 4 that shaman. I'm rooting for the orcs now. There we go. Every last roll counts here. Like, yep, that's brutal. Because now we gotta either play something else or expose the Smasher to the warrior. Which we do have one more Blood Begotten. No way we trigger it here. Honestly, I wonder if Daymar attacks. If Daymar had like a better attack, it's possible you like just heal over attacking that gate. I don't want Daymar to one-shot
It's entirely
priest.
possible Daymar's out of cultists. I cannot count cultists in this game.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to attempt to either. I don't really know what sort of cards end up at the end. You know, it feels like we've played a lot of them. I don't know.
I mean, if you're rooting for Tundra Orcs, sadly you want Shonk.
Shonk's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Shonk died so quick. I've never seen Shonk die so quick. So sad.
Have we used both Floor Glories?
I want to say no. Yeah, just one.
We have another Floor Glory, another Brutal Force. I mean, we've only seen, I think, one Brutal Force, one
that's right.
Freeze.
Would be
2
huge
champs
here.
haven't been played.
Yeah, we need another champ as Thunder Orcs here. Honestly, I think either would do fine.
Does he have any shamans left for Tommen to make Targan to make good?
That is perfect, honestly, because now the warrior. Whoa! What are you doing? What? Why not just have? I'm like so offended this game. Why not just have to like move the shaman, move Smasher towards Grognak, and move the Targan 2 spaces back, and just have Targan kill the priest? Why expose Targan like this?
I don't know, but I was kind of hoping for Ragnar. I feel like Targan, like the.
Oh, well, must be counting in this. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I wonder
this
if he is.
This must be the last. Yeah, this must be the last warrior or something. And I suppose the warrior now gets one attack of Blood Begotten, but these are two equally valuable targets to hit with Blood Begotten. So can't hit with both of them. Ooh, this is really tight now.
No, this is fascinating. I feel like if I were smarter, I could infer what OL has in hand based on the target summon
I feel like I could too.
and the placement. I feel like the answer. I feel like the answer exists, and I'm not smart enough to calculate it.
Uh-huh.
But he's definitely doing some sort of calculus. You assume by now, he had 5 magic, he had options. Yeah, it's true. You've got 2. He can only wail on one of those targets, and I don't think the odds are high to one-shot a Smasher with a Blood Begotten Warrior without a priest.
Yeah.
I guess there's a Death Right left, but this is not when you want to just sacrifice a unit. And he's thinking.
Does Daymar come in? Not without any more cultists. It's really depends on what those last cards are. Yeah, definitely not. The warrior would come down right now, surely. Well, I guess not if you're not going to be able to. Yeah, Daymar is just like, nope, we're gone. Is Daymar going to try to get some more health back? Maybe. If we had another warrior though, surely we'd play it. Yeah. Yeah, no. Sometimes attacking your own units doesn't work out so well. And this, yeah, I mean, the play that I was so skeptical of seems to be working out. Unless we one-shot this Smasher, in which case, that sucks. But nope, we got it. We're in there.
All right.
Yep, going for the heal. Daymar was just feeling a little bit too mean today. I wonder if that indicates we have another warrior going for the attack. Because, like, if you don't have this one warrior is gonna die. So how much more valuable is that 1 health on Daymar versus a 2/3? If I don't have any more procs to damage Daymar, I would rather have a 2/3 than 1 health on Daymar.
Although, like you said, if you had another warrior, why would you not have played it like right now?
Yeah, I suppose why you wouldn't would be you wouldn't be able to get 3 attacks on enemy units because you'd have to like attack with Daymar, both warriors attack, and then Vesna also attacks the shaman.
Yeah, true. So, true. Very, very true.
Again goes back. And we're just chilling. Man, I wish I could play as fast as these two. I sure cannot.
There are a lot of things I wish about Summer Wars.
And are we reduced to attacking each other's gates for a couple turns? Yes, we are. This has been the Summoner Scuffle. Well, that priest is going to get targeted. Seems like a bad spot for that priest. That's my official take on the matter. I mean, maybe we're baiting Targan. I don't know.
I think it's bait.
Bait for what, though? what is the bait? How could it? Yeah, it must be. I don't know. Second Vesna. Is Vesna really a 3 cost? That's insane. Nerf all champions. I want a global plus 3 cost to all champions in the game.
Why?
I hate it. I want situational cards now. I do that. I was talking to Vexer earlier, and we were like both saying that we do prefer like the champs that are interesting and mix up the game in certain situations versus like your Baldo and Varn that are just like must plays every game. Um, in general, that's the design I prefer for champions to be situational. But granted, Vesna is sort of just matchup based. Like certain matchups, like the Tundra Orcs, absolutely insane. That's going to take 3 attacks to kill. Other matchups, like the Phoenix Elves, literally unplayable.
This is what I love about sand goblins, just, stream of consciousness, other unplayable
Yes.
matchups, but they're so damn weird that they just shake up every tier list. Like they just rock,
Mm,
paper, scissors everything because they're little and weird and make no sense on paper, but somehow it all works.
yeah, really. No, I couldn't agree more. I love I love that idea of like it makes no sense on paper, you just need to play it.
No, it makes absolutely no sense on paper that sand goblins can out econ deepwood groaks. But
Is
like
that
the
really a thing?
disappearing targets,
Oh,
it
yeah.
it was a thing in, like, again, like, these are ancient games, but like when I played it with Vexer, like they came out ahead on econ in both games, and we are a little bit like, what? But I mean,
Fascinating.
it was the disappearing targets.
Yeah.
It was like Shadow Elves. Like the disappearing targets made Deepwood Groaks feel quite expensive. Not that this has anything to do with this matchup, but we're in that state
This
that you called. Oh,
the last few turns gotta think them through. Vesna's gonna kill the Smasher? Probably. I think Burden is on Daymar to initiate. No way we have Ragnar. Did we discard up to 5? 1 second
we
here.
must.
We just
We
discarded 2
must. Yes, we
cards.
did. We did.
All right. Well, we know what that last card is. Unless it's a bluff, which would be a power play.
It's a freeze.
It's definitely lucky. I'm curious how long OL held those last few cards. Um, or those last champions. Like, have we had have we had like one of them in hand for like most of the game and just been like knowing, okay, we're gonna have magic at the end. I need to not have leftover magic. Or what's the plan, Ben?
I kind of thought he was struggling on magic. Like he couldn't quite seem to get up to 5. And it's
Yeah,
hard to tell whether
yeah.
whether it was important enough to get to 5.
Well, if we had a convert, we would have just won. Okay, did we miss
So
something?
what?
Has the
Yeah,
convert been
did we?
played? Yes, they've both been played.
Okay. So if you're just sitting here
Commentary.
okay, I take your word for it. But I'm so
Never take my word for anything. When did the other one get played? No one in chat called us either. Yeah, see that's I take no blame. I take no blame for this. That makes so much more make sense of like,
Ben, this is how
well,
we know we're a board game community is we don't have rivals for streaming.
yes.
Like it's just so weird. Instead of like like a Discord channel of like the shameless self promotion channel, where everyone's streaming. Instead, it's like nope, just us.
Just our shameless self-promotion. Yeah, I want I want more Summoner Wars action. Like this is the game that I wanted to play as a kid when I was busy playing Hearthstone and whatnot. I want this for others. Wonder if we're trying to build a 5? Tortugatron is? No, we would have discarded last turn if we were. Yeah. I don't think there's any 2 cards that Tortugatron could have to take this back. I think it's over. And what a wild game. And for that's so crazy. Like, I wonder on that one turn, we'll have to take another look. Like, was there a safer play? Was there a way that Orange Lazarus could have played around the 2-for-2 shot on 1 health? Like, because clearly he preferred let's just be safe because we can win the long game. To let's
Tarkin just barely getting the kill.
That's a little bit sketchy.
All right, and okay, Ragnar doesn't get the 3-for-3. Not that you really count on that. What could Tortugatron's last 2 cards be?
I have no idea.
You know, if it's a cultist, there's options. If you know, if it's Death Right, you've dumped it already, probably. Or
it just feels like every possible card I could think of would have been played at some point.
Oh,
over
Sekhmet.
the last 2 turns. Yeah,
actually, that's realistic. That he's been hanging on to Sekhmet.
There's just no way.
If you have
the
champs thing is a bit of a myth. Like, not a myth, but it certainly doesn't happen every Crimson Order game. Same with calling forth 9 royal warriors. Maybe that one's a myth.
Yeah.
Like, it's a ceiling, but I would honestly say that my Crimson Order games don't usually run, like, to that ceiling.
Like, you do it as Tundra Orcs, it's easier to do as
That's
Tundra
true.
Orcs.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I guess it's the same pure cost. I don't know. Tundra Orcs champs are good.
Tundra Orcs, I think it was Amy KS or AMY KS Hans 1 that was saying they're not really tanky. Like, they look like they should be, but they have Shank who can tank, the ranged tank shamans, and then a lot of squishy units, unless you summon all 3 champs.
That's fair. I mean, the shamans do a lot of heavy lifting in my eyes. I think
they and the frost mages speak to how that little bit of range makes them extra tanky so much more of the time than other 4-cost units not named Deceiver.
And Casimir comes down.
Keeping it interesting.
I'm surprised we didn't.
Keeping it interesting. Wait, what was that? I missed. What was the last card?
We must have discarded it last turn. How am I?
To get to 5 and get to Casimira.
Yeah, we did. I'm surprised we didn't do it like the turn before that one. Like, the turn where we had Vesnabrana kill something, we had 2 cards in hand. I suppose we were hoping to get 1 more magic out of something, but I would have, because then the next turn we could have had Casimara and the priest attack something. Maybe.
We're going
this is really going all the way this game. Well, that's something.
Well, that would have been nice if she gave boosts.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well. Happens sometimes. Unfortunately.
Jack's coping for the 7 out of 7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think we're fine either way. What are we gonna? Oh my goodness. Are we gonna like trade and then attack gates for? I do love that rare end game where there's like 6 turns back and forth of attacking gates. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna confess something. I am somehow like that. That does not happen to me. Like, I don't know if that makes me not old school or just like I don't know if it's a play skill thing, a play style thing, or a skill issue thing. Rarely. I don't think I've ever gone into that kind of like whacking at gates, calculating the hit points of gates end game.
It would just have to be something like
skill issues.
No, I think it's just like super like super niche, like when that would happen. Like for instance, like right now I think that would happen if somehow Daymar was a little bit ahead, so somehow all the final units traded with each other and there was nothing left on the board, and all that was left was Daymar on Grognak's side of the board and Grognak on Daymar's side of the board, just waiting each other out, attacking each other's gates or something yeah,
Oh, I've
the
seen it
situation
happen.
where
I
that.
know when it happens. It just doesn't
Yes,
happen to
yes.
me for whatever playstyle reasons that.
Well, it has to be like, that have to be such a close game and such a weird situation. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's truly happened to me like once.
All right, we're at pretty close to.
We're at the end.
All right, we're gonna give Ragnar the kill shot. And with 3 boosts, just in
And
case he
then
whiffs.
Daymar plays the third convert and wins the game.
No, I want Ragnar to whiff, and then Grognak kills him, and Targan gets a shot.
GG. What a game. This is ridiculous. I need to, what was that turn where we
Well,
exposed
the
ourselves
winner
to the
is whoever
2-on-2?
picked this matchup.
Yeah, what a matchup. We should do this in the league. This is a fun one.
Oh
Top
my gosh. To
tier.
hell with the frogs. To hell with the frogs.
Yeah.
This would be such a good league matchup.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, someone else can analyze that. I'm gonna see if I can get them in the call. Yeah, I'm really curious about that one turn. If that was just the only way we come out of this game is with the 2-on-2, or if there was a misplay.
Well, I am glad we got that end game action, but I am curious as well.
Yes. Hello, hello.
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 Good to, wow,
Hey there.
what a game that was to watch. That had us on the edge of our seats the entire time. That was amazing.
I'm still on tilt from that over 2 whiff.
I'm sorry about that. I couldn't believe it.
Skill issue.
Range dice.
And it'll be like December and you'll still be on tilt. I would anyway.
That was really something. Maybe before we jump into things, real quick, if I could, just have you guys introduce yourself. Normally, what I ask is, like, how did you get into Summoner Wars? But Orange, you've been on here before. We've asked you that before. So Orange, what's new in the world of Summoner Wars for you? What have you been up to recently?
Wow, quite a question. Nothing too crazy. Life's been a little busy outside of Summoner War, so I haven't been super active here and there on the Discord or anything. But I'm enjoying playing a lot of different factions. Actually, I'm not sure if I've even played this matchup. It was a lot of fun, and I would have thought I was going to say it was a lot of fun when I was just about to lose there. So, I don't have any. I
Sure.
don't have any, certain specific ambitions or crazy things going on. Just trying to enjoy the game.
Excellent. And Tortugatron, we're so excited to finally have you on. Could you say a bit about how you first got into Summoner Wars? I'm very curious.
Yeah, that was like, when did the master set for first edition release? Like 2012 or something? I think is pretty much right
Couple
when that
decades ago.
released. Yeah, I was
Wow.
just yeah, well, if you round up.
No.
Yeah, I was just getting into like hobby board games, and I was watching a lot of Tom Vassel's videos, and he was over the moon for the game. So it looked right up my alley because I kind of liked those type of games already. So picked it up and just continuously played it for several years, and eventually kind of got burned out, and kind of abruptly left the first edition scene towards the very end there. But now I'm back.
It's great to have you back.
back and carrying the weight of competitive Summoner Wars on your shoulders with the
I'm
best
used to it.
tournaments. Well, tell us about this game. What, how was this going? What were you planning for? Was this what you guys were expecting? We felt like this was a roller coaster to watch.
Like I was hoping. I mean, it's Orange Lazarus, so it probably wasn't going to happen. But usually, how I beat Grognak is he rushes in, and then I somehow get him surrounded, and he can't escape. But I was not really expecting that to happen, but I knew I had to get a few early hits in just in case. Maybe I get a couple warriors at the right time, and I could maybe finish him off with a Doom Cultist or something, but not quite.
Yeah. Well, from my end, I had it in my mind no matter what, I was just gonna rush on the first turn. Even though if I was playing this in like competitively, I probably wouldn't have, just jumped in that hard against uh Crimson Order, but I figured, it's a 45-minute game. Let's get this, like, just jump up. And I think I had a gate early, so I was like, I'll get that put up there. Um, but he kept putting those Doom cultists out, and I didn't want to fury into them and just take damage. So I was kind of flirting around the middle. But I on the first turn or set, I immediately made a mistake and just started discarding. I had Shank in my hand. I was like, oh, let me get rid of some fighters and get Shank out. And as soon as I did that, I realized shouldn't have done that. Not good to discard many commons against Crimson Order. And then my hand got clogged up with all these smashers. And
Mm.
and he got the converts out early, and I was definitely feeling the pressure. So I had to try and retreat, and then I couldn't get any gates, and that's when it got to be a pretty interesting game. So uh, yeah.
Yeah, I could not have foreseen. I felt like halfway through, I'm just like, there are too many cultists. What is possibly going on here? How could I get to the end here? Did you have the econ game in the back of your head the whole time, Orange, or were you thinking like, oh, this is I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I'll try to get an assassination in there. We noticed there was one moment that you could have gone for but didn't.
Yeah,
What was your plan? Yeah.
I was got that those two gates on either side, and really blocked a lot of my ability to flank around or do anything like that. And again, I didn't feel like I was really getting the assassination hands I wanted. And even the 1/4 glory I got was was pretty was a bit of a dud. So I kept thinking, I kept hoping kind of I get that right combination, and I don't feel like I ever had exactly the cards I wanted. And even I got it toward the end of the game when so you noticed I had those two champs and they were at the very end, and I had to get rid of a brutal force, which that was going to be how I was envisioning assassination because he was pretty low on life with the summoner. So I was going to
Yeah.
he did a good job of staying back, but I was going to potentially brutal force one of my range units up, and to try and get a shot. But again, it just never really happened. And so then I kept having to retreat. And once I got so low on health, I had to stay away from that Doom cultist. Like I figured with your last two cards, you were at like 4 magic and you had 2 cards, and I figured it was like a champ and a Doom cultist.
Yep,
And I
it
was
was a
like,
Doom Cultist.
yeah.
Just
So
waiting. I wanted you to think I didn't have any cultists left, but
Oh, clever.
You know what?
that
You
was my only
fly.
hope after that whiff, and then I was down. Like I was like,
yeah,
maybe he'll screw up. I don't know.
because I think the one turn you were like debating at the discard phase, and I'm like, I bet it's a Doom cultist, and he doesn't want to get rid of it, but he needs that
Yep.
5 magic for the champ. Yeah.
Wow.
And that friendly fire brutal force probably would have caught me off guard. I always forget that you can do that. I'm not a very big TO player, and I don't really face them very much either. Didn't even think
Yeah.
about that the whole game.
Yeah, I was waiting for that, but it just couldn't pull it off. But I didn't initially think the Crimson Order econ would be so strong against um you know TO because I had a lot of beefier commons, but you were just able to convert them and you kept using Deathrite to get the those warriors. It seemed like there were 10 warriors played. I don't know how. Like it just warriors kept coming and kept like snatching everything. So I was like, what is going on with
I
these
think I only played
warriors?
6, right?
Yeah,
Because I got 1 back each time from Call Forth.
yeah.
I've
That's a
never
fun
had the
match.
dream of 9. Let me just say that.
Yeah. And you didn't get too many devout cultist recursions. You maybe got 1 or 2, but if you would have got a few more, like even 1 or 2 more of those, that could have been enough to tip the scale.
It was probably like average of what it should have been, probably every
Yeah.
third time. But I wasn't keeping track. It's what it felt like.
Yeah. Huh.
Ben,
What
do you
else?
want
What
to
was
go back to that specific turn where we thought you were going to Hail Mary that fighter in?
yeah?
Sure.
Which one was that?
All right, let's get on your case, Orange. It's time.
Do it.
All right, this is
Oh, I think I know what you're
turn
talking about.
21.
Actually, do you guys have the visual on stream, or are we just
Oh, no, I don't.
I'm not.
Let me.
I think I
Okay,
know what
well,
you're talking about, though,
you
so I can
can
picture it in my head.
click on 1 second. You can click on turn 21. I also just went live in the Discord. You can click on that if that's easy. But
Watch.
it's it's turn 21 there. So the play that you went for was to just try and be safe. I think you were trying to fighter that devout cultist so it couldn't hit Grognak, though that also would have let the Doom cultist march up. And so of course this then ended up with Grognak taking 2 range dice to the face, when could have just put a fighter right down this side and just hope to hope to get the 1 and 3 and go 4 on 4. What was good? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, the thing is, I feel like I didn't have any re-rolls on that fighter, and I would have
Yeah.
had to, I would have had to get the 2 for 2, get the re-roll, go 2 for 2 again, and I thought I had a better chance of getting the re-roll to kill that the devout cultist and preventing the 2 in the face. But I didn't get the re-roll anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess I probably would have needed 2 re-rolls because if I would have left the fighter over there, you could have brought the Doom cultist down and
Yeah.
then like killed it and
That's what
ended
I
the
was hoping
game.
you would do, because a Doom cultist win would have been more satisfying.
Yeah. So I just I had at this point I had 3 cards left, and I think I'd gotten rid of everything, and I had a gate and I had a freeze, and I didn't get either one, and I was like, oh, the game over. And then of course you had the 0 for 2, but I thought like my only chance was some awesome frenzies that I didn't get.
And I had a
see.
1 for 2 before that, so that cultist let me down twice.
Yeah.
I see. Eden in chat joins in on your case, says, I think the fighter play to get the kill was 15% chance, and your survival otherwise with your play was 11% chance. We have statisticians in the chat running the numbers.
I went for it.
Wait, I think the 11% was for the whiff, but wasn't there some odds we haven't calculated of the fighter actually
for
getting
the fighter
the
actually getting it.
the kill?
Yeah,
And
then
thus
also
preventing
frenzying
the
back.
11.
Yeah, they had to go 4 for 4, and then you times that by a third.
Too much math for me. Well,
Yeah, the room goes silent.
Statisticians
There's only a
in chat.
website that could calculate this for us quick.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I think that's.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying. I think it's. I stress out about games like that in League, but they're so much fun to watch and commentate. if it happens to me in what I consider a serious game, it's just kind of and I'm sure, like I said, it's that feeling of I'll be on tilt until December about this, and maybe
Uh,
you are, Tortugatron.
he was right. That's 15% chance with the frenzy. Actually, you could round up to 16% on that.
Uh-huh.
So the more fun play would have been the right one, huh?
It's I was like fairly certain I was going to lose because I've just had these like odd eerie public games where I've had these just horrendous like one like 0.1% chance of happening, and it happens against me, and I'm like it's kind of a, I don't know if you guys feel it too. I feel like there's definitely like a streaky nature. I'll win like a lot in a row and then I'll lose a bunch, and it seems like the dice are my enemy. And I'm sure it's all perception, but it never feels like evenly distributed luck. It seems like these waves of just horrendous dice, and then it comes back. So I thought I was in for it this game, but again, I guess I got the luck on my side this time. But it was kind of fun to see it go the distance. I mean, have a game like this come to like neither of us had any cards left in our hand. That was pretty epic.
What's funny? I don't know if I've really experienced what you're describing, the streaky dice luck. I actually think I will kind of ruin the experiment by getting really tilted and then just go on a self-imposed losing streak that continues and that it takes time to pull out of. But it ruins the experiment of how bad the dice are. How streaky the dice are, because I definitely get into my head. If the dice give me a bad stretch, then it's really easy to just compound that.
Yeah. I had a game, I was playing Obsidian Dwarves, and it was at least 3, maybe 4 of my first rolls with my summoner. With my 2 dice, I got 2 specials every single time. I'm like, what? What are the odds of that? I don't like. I guess that's the Shonk 8 for 8 special. But I was like, how, stuff like that where, and there was like a couple other things where it just, it happened within the course of like a day or two. I'm like, yeah, but that's the game. That's what keeps it fun. And I'm sure I don't remember the really good rolls I had in between, but yeah, it feels like it feels like if I have to do some analysis on my win loss, but I'll win like a bunch in a row and then lose a bunch in a row. And I can't, I don't know. Maybe you're, to your point, Fuzzy, there's like a psychological effect there where I start playing differently because of the dice, and it snowballs.
I'm curious, do you feel the pressure in ranked play of being Orange Lazarus? Of like being either that guy, the guy with the target on your head?
Man, I don't know. To be fair, like ranked play, there used to be a big difference where like league play, I was like super serious, and ranked play, truthfully, my rank play, I try not to spend too much time on turns. I just try and have fun with it. And but I feel like recently I don't take league quite that seriously and so it all kind of merges together. So I don't think I feel like a tremendous amount of pressure, to be honest with you. Not like I once did, perhaps. So I don't know.
I think that's a good thing.
Does that answer your question? I'm trying not, I don't know. It's
Oh no, I'll tell you why I asked. You'll laugh. Is like I think someone forfeited against Vexer, and he was just kind of like, like what the hell? Do people hate me? Like it was just like turn 1, I'm up against Vexer. Peace. And like we were talking a little bit about that of just like having to be quote unquote Vexer when you're just trying to play casually and have fun and not stress out.
no.
I don't know. I don't have people auto forfeit in fear of me.
No, I don't. I There was a period where there was a lot more forfeiting going on, and but I haven't experienced that lately. And there have been some new names in the mix that I've lost to recently that have played me really well. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if there's an uptick because of the app, but it's neat to see some new competition in there, and who knows, maybe the next tournament will really kind of get some numbers on how much that scene's grown.
I'm looking forward to that. It's just so funny, our little amateur analysis based on, what percentage people are at before they cross into top 25. Like, on the one hand, it's a little bit ridiculous, but on the other hand, I feel like if there's numbers involved, then it's just catnip for people on Discord.
Yeah.
Like someone has to estimate the size of the player base, like based on that, just because there's numbers and we can.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I hope
Right.
it's growing. I think, if Jexic's still in chat, I think he's the one that's been kind of keeping an eye on, whenever he crosses into the top 25, do we think the player base is like 500 or 300 or 600?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like there is an uptick with the app release, and how long that gets sustained, who knows? But I do hope to sustain it. Like, Ben and I were talking at the top of the scuffle about Eden's Summoner Academy, which I'm really hoping it brings in new players. I feel like it's something that we've been missing as a community for a while, is just really a shallow end to competitive play. Like, League is jumping into the deep end. So I'm hopeful about this. Like, and I'm very curious about the new faces. And I also get beaten by, people I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
Would either of you two consider being a mentor for the new Summoner Wars Academy?
Give me the
I
quick
don't know.
give me the quick overview. I don't know if I've have too much background on that. What's the kind of idea?
2LDR, did I just say that out loud? Just shoot me now. Just shoot me now for talking in internet acronyms, but too long didn't read. Is Eden's going to be running two tournaments for completely new players. So there's going to be a apprentice division if you're truly brand new and just learning the cards, learning the game. And then a tier slightly above that. They're both one-time tournaments. You don't, keep curb stomping in the kiddie pool. But the goal is to basically ease people into competitive play and assign every new player a mentor. And that person is just there to, answer gameplay questions, obviously. But also, I think it's just, make the Discord less intimidating. Chewy compared it to kind of walking into a dinner party of like people who are all having a great time and all know each other, but like you just walked into someone else's dinner party and it feels a little bit awkward. So I hope we see that on both ends, but not kind of a huge time commitment, not like adopt a kid. It's just, let's make the Discord a little bit easier for new people to jump into, and the competitive scene a little bit easier for new people to jump into. Like, stick with this game rather than playing a few games with your free faction and then wandering off.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'd be happy to pitch in, however that might look. Again, I've got three little ones that are keeping me on the busy side, but like, something like this when they're in bed and I can kind of help, kind of chat about some games. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There is a form to fill out, and I think if I recall correctly, you can set it up so that you can just indicate like, text only or voice. And hopefully that fits into people's schedules too, is just like, those of us who can kind of message on Discord around the clock, but not necessarily commit solid blanks of family time, versus people who, would rather hear a voice and not just have this weird impersonal Discord. So hopefully we can pair, new players and mentors according to, desired schedules, time zones, general communication preferences. And again, this makes it sound like much more of a commitment than it is. It's we all have lives, but I'm glad. I'm glad Eden and also, so it's Eden, Chewy, and Devlin Fish are the new the newest wave of organizers following into Tortugatron's footsteps. And the three of them are new recently enough to really actually remember what it's like and just kind of how overwhelming, like, this jumble of card abilities is, and all these Discord channels and people throwing around terminology that you can't Google. So that's my pitch. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I'd probably be willing to do something like that, but I don't want to make any commitments on air here.
yes, yes.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
well,
way to put
anyone
people on the
interested?
spot, Ben.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, it's a fun thing that's happening. Anyone that's interested, go check it out on the Discord. But to shift things real quick, because we only got like another 15 minutes or so. I want to talk about Crimson Order. I don't know, at the start here, Fuzzy was trying to convince me not to hate Crimson Order. And that was interesting. Tortugatron, I'm curious to ask you in particular, as the player, the chooser of Crimson Order here. What's going on with Crimson Order? Are they fun? What's fun about them? Are they strong? Are they not? What is this? What is this faction? I have no idea.
They're fun for me. I like playing as them. They're one of my more favorite factions, I think. Playing against, yeah, not a huge fan. They're above like Groaks, and Fallen Kingdom and Cave Goblins for me, but yeah, they're on the lower end of enjoyability against. But I just like them because I'm typically like an econ player, and they don't have these ridiculously complicated turns as well. So like if I'm at work and I can pull up my phone for a couple minutes, take a quick turn, and I don't have to really stress and think about it too much. So, and I'm more of like a tactics player instead of a strategy player anyway. So I don't know, they just kind of
Interesting.
fit
Yeah.
with me.
And you think a big part of that is like your slight preference towards econ, or is it like something in particular about like the Daemar blood engine as
I
well
do
here?
kind of like, yeah, I do kind of like using his life as like a sort of an economic machine as well. Like don't want to get too low, and I kind of like balancing that. Um, Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like this faction because, like, I don't know, vampires are kind of cliche, and it's a dark faction, and dark factions are my least favorite.
Are the best.
I don't know. I'm starting to come around on Shadow Elves a little bit, but yeah, Fallen Kingdom trashed here, so and
I was
Fungal
gonna
Dwarf
ask,
kind of.
can you shine a light onto your hatred of Fallen Kingdom? Where does that come from? I am curious. Like, what's your what curious you about Fallen Kingdom?
Well, it's mostly blood summon, honestly. I mean, the rest of it doesn't help, like with the carrier chains and all that crap. But yeah, the blood summon like Uber turns where just a warrior comes out of nowhere. It reminds me of a lot of well, kind of like deck building, how you get these crazy turns. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the deck building. But at least on that, you're expecting craziness. Like that's what you're signing up for, right? But then it also kind of reminds me of like turns in Magic. Like I had this friend when I was trying to get into Magic. All he would do is make these decks where he just had to get the right cards, and then he would just play cards and do some kind of infinite combo, and I would die. And that's kind of how it makes me feel.
I guess.
I'm gonna jump in with an irrelevant analogy. Is that's exactly how it felt playing Spirit Island with Ben, Jexic, and my husband, where my husband and I had like these starter spirits, with the ones with relatively simple mechanics, and Ben just had like some ridiculous one that was doing this complex thing in his quadrant of the board that neither of us could understand. That's my analogy.
I'll have you know that was a medium complexity spirit. They go up to very high complexity, so I was going easy.
No, I didn't mean to derail from the combo deck analogy. Like from that.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Oh, go on.
I was curious because it seems like there's some like I get what you're saying. The blood summon, you can do some crazy things with that, but then almost everyone who makes a tier list always puts Fallen Kingdom like C or like maybe low B. It's like nobody
I mean,
thinks they're good, but they think
I
it has a
usually
low
win
B
against
number.
them, except for like the few of the really top players that really get them. But it's just the frustration that might be coming at any time.
Okay.
That's actually why I kind of like playing against Crimson Order. Is like you don't have to calculate every single direction
Yeah.
a unit might be possibly coming out at you. Like I actually find it a little like the games are going to be long, but I find it less sort of mentally taxing in that annoying way to anticipate what could the opponent possibly do. Like I know where the opponent can possibly get to. So I mean that's a plus for me when it comes to facing Crimson Order. But you guys were saying, and I kept derailing, these long blood summon, unpredictable, in your face, what just happened combo turns.
Yeah.
And then on
Well,
top of the carrier chains, which they're because that can happen just one attack after the other. It's more than just what the fungal beast can do, right? Because the fungal beast doesn't make another fungal beast, so it's like even worse than that. I mean, yeah, Crimson Order does it to an extent, but like 4 times in a game, so it's not too bad. It's multiple things
Question.
put together.
I mean, Orange Lazarus, would you bring Fallen Kingdom to like a Plaid Hat Games tournament these days?
I've taken Fallen Kingdom like to all the online tournaments, and I think I took them to when I played at Gen Con too. I just like playing them. And honestly, the way I approach tournaments,
Part
I
of the
saw Hector
problem.
posted like he's not going to do tournaments anymore because of, I think it was, something like people were taking top tier factions. I'm like, and I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but I didn't understand it because I'm like, just pick factions that you had fun playing, and then you play a tournament and kind of have a blast with it, and don't. But I guess there's a mindset of like if you're going to go into a tournament, you got to win, and But I just like playing them. I like again because I think they're a little better than they get credit for, and it is fun, even though they have some matchups that are not so that are pretty tough. Um, I kind of like to play them a little differently, just in a different way that I usually enjoy them. So I'm like trying to poke into this what I perceive as this like irrational hatred of them. If everyone thinks they're terrible, but yet there's like this hatred of them, I guess, in the way they play. It is. I'm more tongue in cheek a little bit. Like everybody's welcome to dislike whatever faction they like, but usually the factions that are disliked are the ones that like are annoyingly good and win, or like cloaks that sit back with like the final form blocks and just like ping you and then go hide. Like that, I could see an annoyance, but that's because they're really good and they often win. But if it's a faction you beat a lot, usually it's like they're a little annoying, but I don't have a visceral hatred of them.
Well,
But it
see,
seems like
yeah, they're a little annoying. My hatred of them is more of like a pastime, something I enjoy to do.
Yes.
Um, yeah, they're not like top tier. So if they were like Grok's level and with all their shenanigans stuff, then I would mean it,
yeah, gotcha. Well, in first edition they were so bad, but they still
Yeah,
did have the Phantom, which was this kind of crazy card that would like just take over any unit. So
if they had the Phantom again. Jeez. I mean, it's 1 in 6, but ridiculous.
I actually have a question for Ben and Orange about them, just because you guys go further back on the Discord than I do. Like, why is the blood summon like without summoning and just putting 2 damage on a unit? Like, why does it feel like that's coming up only now? Like, was it just less of a thing like earlier? Like, I mean, way earlier when I was just like new and learning the factions. Like, I don't remember people talking about that. So it's like, is my memory wrong, or is this like getting more airtime now because Ben exploited it in deck building, or what?
and
I
this is
hate
an
it,
honest
by the way.
question. Was it always implemented like that? Because I swear I didn't even know you could do that until,
I don't
like, it
know.
started coming up as and I was like, "Oh, you
I'm
can
not sure.
you can do that?"
No,
Maybe
I don't know
nobody cared
either.
to figure that out because they were talking about Ice Ram and Sarah and stuff.
Yeah.
But like surely
I-
some yeah, I don't know.
so no one knows, or like no one. It just wasn't a thing back then because it was too. I mean, I still hate it, honestly. I actually don't think it's bad balance wise. Like, I don't, I don't mind that it's essentially a buff. I just hate that no one in their right mind would think to do it until Ben came along.
Well, I think Joe would know because he coded it. Like, was it coded differently before? Did they realize that, oh, it's actually coded wrong and in the rules you could technically do this, you know?
But didn't they just issue the rule book that made it correct? Like, this is as intended.
I think there was sort of a time around like Fungal Dwarves release where there was like sort of some rules upheavals, like around the same time that Joe posted the triggered effects blog posts that were like started like thinking more about some rules and like some problems and keeping conflicts there. So like I have like some hunch that maybe it was then that got implemented, but I yeah I don't know. Yeah, thematically, it's not too far off for like, I mean, you can already destroy all your units with Purge, for Blood
Yeah.
Summon to do it too. But I am with you with like a physical player is not gonna think you can do that unless you read the FAQ.
Yeah,
So
even if they tried to do it, it's the kind of thing that if they got stubborn about it, like they'd be arguing with their opponent for like a half hour about
yeah.
rules rather than playing the game.
That's why you
Like the,
print
the
out the FAQ and bring it with you.
or just don't game with that guy.
The Fallen Kingdom player. No.
No, the guy that like has the technically precise but completely counterintuitive interpretation of every rule. Or the one that pulls out their phone instead of taking their turn. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't actually. I'm becoming that person now that I play Summoner Wars with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
I
be
don't know.
interested if someone asked Joe, because I feel like I tried to do it back in the day and it didn't work, but I might be getting it confused with something else. But yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like back in the day, someone would have done it and it would have become a thing.
There's
Yeah.
less factions. You'd think more people would be playing them just on numbers.
You know.
No, I mean, I
Smaller
definitely
player
think.
base too, though.
Hey, you know what? You know what it is about me and Fallen Kingdom is when I was learning like the game and the rules, like when I just queue into a queue a deck and play a random faction. I hated facing Fallen Kingdom because I just felt like whatever I was doing against them wasn't teaching me how to play my faction. It was teaching me how to play against Fallen Kingdom. And that
Mhm.
was why I just like queuing into them kind of drove me crazy. It was like, I want to learn, Polar Dwarves or whatever. And instead
Yeah.
I need to play anti-Fallen Kingdom. And those just felt like two completely different games for me.
Yeah.
I think just now that I've been playing so much longer and I've ingested, I don't really struggle as much remembering like card abilities and is that with a range of 3 or a range of 2. I think it's more interesting to queue into this anti-Fallen Kingdom game or like these factions where you have to know how to counter them. But I was just always felt like if I queued into Fallen Kingdom, I was playing Fallen Kingdom and not my faction. At the time when I was, like just sort of, maybe advanced beginner, intermediate, like
And,
it drove me nuts.
and I think there's a lot more factions recently that you have to play completely different again. So I think a lot of newer
Yeah.
players are going to
Yeah.
have that same feeling even more with all these different factions.
I can
Yeah.
definitely see that. And I think that's why I think, not to keep banging the same drum, but I think that's why Eden was smart in just, declaring a subset of factions off limits for
Yeah.
the Apprentice Cup and Journeyman Cup is like, you're going to play the same faction for all 6 weeks of pool play. and you are never going to face Shadow Elves, Fallen Kingdom, High Elves, or I don't think Crimson Order was allowed either. I could be wrong about that one.
There's like Groks or Forge, because those are so different too.
Pretty sure it says Eden is saying Eden the smart. Yes, yes. Oh no, that didn't answer Groks or Forged. He fooled me. It should. It was basically the complexity 3 and 4 factions in Colonel S's those card summaries he did. So whatever he ranked 3 and 4 is off limits for the Apprentice Cup. And then the Journeyman Cup complexity 4 factions are all off limits. So, I mean, we're hoping that makes it easier. We're hoping that makes, lowers some barriers to entry to just main a faction and not be facing off against the more complex ones.
Well, I think Groks would probably be fine actually, because I mean they're pretty easy to play as for the most part, and you're not going to be against like some tryhard who knows it, how to play like in the journeyman and everything. So yeah, Groks are probably fine.
And
Forged
Forged
though,
are awful.
yeah, I don't know.
Forged are
Forged would be
just
tough for a new
mean.
player.
Yeah.
Well, they're tough for me.
Yeah, I still don't quite know what I'm doing with them.
Yeah. There are some games I play with Forge where I feel like I'm invincible, and other games I
Yeah.
get beat, and I'm like, what's going on?
I don't know what I did differently.
Yeah.
No, I'll say this. Forged are one of the most fun factions to play just like button mashing. Like I have no idea what I'm doing, but this just feels fun.
Mm.
But that said, I will say this is I love Ben and Vexer's League showcases. The only one I was actually able to watch this season was Forged versus Mountain Vargath. And because I felt so clueless about Forged, I just followed the blueprint Vexer gave. I don't want to say to the letter, but I don't necessarily know why he thinks it's better for Mountain Vargath to come up on one side of the board rather than the other, or rather the inventor. Like he was saying, he likes to take the inventor to the left side instead of the right side when facing Mountain Vargath. The first decision the inventor makes is which way to walk. Like I don't necessarily know why to this day, but I was following some of that stuff to the letter, and I do think it worked. I did feel more comfortable playing Forged, not button mashing, but trying to be intentional, even when being intentional was essentially, I don't necessarily know why Vexer is giving these instructions, but this time I'm just going to follow them. I did find that effective.
Well, unfortunately, we've pretty much hit time here, but I can't let us go without asking Tortugatron, any tournaments on the horizon? Unfortunately, we didn't get much time to chat about all of these amazing and wacky tournaments you're always hosting. But what's circulating around your mind with April Madness and everything?
Yeah, I got a couple announcements. Yeah, April Madness, get your votes in right now.
Do it.
Week 2, like turn this off immediately, go vote.
No.
So we have like 12 hours or so until the voting closed for week 2. I just looked. There was 44 people that voted, and one of the matchups is a tie, so somebody needs to vote.
Ooh.
I don't know. I didn't write in how I was going to do ties, so
Go vote.
So you just
Everyone
need
do
to just
Somebody needs to
hound the
vote.
Discord until
Yeah.
sudden death tiebreaker.
Yeah,
I don't know how we
basically.
do a
It'll
talent
be
show
like the
between
new.
two cards.
I would love that. I would love that if the tie is broken by like some brand new person who's just voting based on faction art. Like I think that is the
You
way to
that
break
can
the
be
tie.
your way to vote. I post the gallery. You can look and just vote on faction art if you want. That's fine.
I want that to be the tiebreaker. I want that to determine who wins.
Yeah, that's still happening. Week 3 will be up at some point in the morning tomorrow. to vote on, and then yeah, I do have another tournament that I just thought of it like in the last few days, and I'm not patient, so I might just put signups up pretty soon here.
Wow.
I don't know when Joe is gonna run another one of his tournaments. He said he was gonna do one after he was done with some updating of something, but I don't know what that means. And now we're getting kind of close to the next release, so like, is he gonna wait for that? I don't know. So I might just throw one up there, maybe even tomorrow, but like maybe early next week once I
Well,
get the spreadsheet pretty enough for people to look at. And
interesting.
I guess I could tell you what it is like about.
Ben,
Love to
I
So,
hear
do
it.
have time to run over, and I don't want these guys to go. Like, I don't want the party to end.
Orange, how are you on? Or how are you two
Yeah,
on time?
let's hear the tournament. That's yeah, I'm all ears.
so I know people really liked the Turtle Panic one, like more than I thought they would. I guess they just like not choosing things. So, like, here you go.
So
You play
true.
that right now.
So
So I mean,
true.
it's you don't. I mean, you don't get to pick your own S tier actions, so you get a lot more variety, I guess. Um, but then you also get screwed with some of your matchups.
No one here would know anything about that.
If you're already qualified for the top four, I feel like maybe you deserve it.
Was it
So
random? Was it?
every matchup was random. Maybe not that one, but every other one was.
Just so we don't sound like we're laughing at an inside joke,
Yeah.
Orange
So
Lazarus
yeah,
drawing cave goblins to face off against the Beast Slumbers' Crimson Order was just mean.
yes,
Skill issue.
and the Beast Slumbers is a good player. He won the tournament, so he must be good. So yeah, what didn't go well for Orange Lazarus?
Fun tournament though. No gripes about the tournament. And hey, I should have won the other two, so it's on me anyway.
No,
So
amazing tournament. I that's the first community tournament I entered actually, just because I tend to be sparing about competing, and I just couldn't resist that one.
so for this one, I do like that whole random aspect. And pretty soon we'll do another Turtle Mania where you can pick your factions, but maybe towards the end of the next release. So in a few months or whatever. But for this one, I'm thinking about everybody gets 3 factions each game at random. Your opponent gets 3 factions, you get 3 factions. I'm going to make sure that there is no overlap for those factions. And then you secretly pick one of your factions, your opponent secretly picks one of theirs. One of you sends the invite, and then when the game starts is when you figure out what the matchup is.
Whoa. This is amazing. Oh my goodness.
So you can look at the 3 they have to choose from, and there's mind games. You can go and look and see if you faced that player before, or if they're on the leaderboard somewhere where you can click on their name and see how good they are with those 3 factions. And like maybe if you know enough about like the matchups, go, oh, well, this one that I have is terrible against a couple of those factions. Maybe I don't pick that, but then they know I'm not going to pick that one. Clearly the glass in front of me. So that sort of thing. Um, so there could be some hilarity with that.
That is
That-
so evil and brilliant. I love it.
That's fine.
I'm thinking about maybe it's not that long of a tournament because I don't know when Joe again is going to do his tournament. I feel like it's going to be as soon as I put the signups up, but I don't know. Because I know there's one coming at some point. So maybe like 3 weeks, you play 4 games each week. 12 games. Everybody plays their 12 games. And then we go into like some kind of a playoff sort of a thing
Mm,
for another few
mhm.
weeks.
I have to mention that it reminds me of when I play against Beans Easily on stream, sometimes he introduced this format that apparently he had done with friends. That is the same thing. We each get three
Yep.
random factions, but before we do the pick, we each ban one of the other person's factions.
Yep,
So you
I've
can.
talked to him about that. I ran this by a couple of people, and he was one of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What?
And yeah, when he mentioned that, like that's perfectly fine if you're like in person. But who is the first one to say which one they vetoed, right?
It's an
Like
issue.
one of you is gonna have to veto first, and then the other one can maybe, but maybe not on purpose, but they can take that information and go, okay, which one do I want to veto now that you vetoed this one? So you'd have to have like an intermediary to make it truly even, right? And I don't want to do that for every game.
God.
So I think in person, that's probably a better system. But for here, and I like the randomness anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That sounds like fun.
and
Yeah, I
it's
ran
just
into the.
simpler, right? You don't have to do this back and forth with every opponent. You just send them a link. So
Yeah. Sounds like so much fun.
I just love the mystery. The what am I gonna get? What am I gonna get?
and I have one more little wrinkle in there for players that maybe their tournament is not going as good as they would have hoped, and going into the last round, they don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Well, for the last spot of the playoffs, um, whoever qualifies for that is going to be the winner of a raffle. So, like let's say the top 12 people make it in or something, and then like the top 4 get like a bye week. Well, the top 11 are going to make it in based on their record. But then that last one is however many wins that you've had, you get that many raffle tickets. And then somebody is drawn
Mm,
at random. So it keeps everybody
I
engaged. Like,
like
okay,
it.
if I get another win, I get a little bit better of a chance of making it.
It's like the reverse Hunger Games. Like like you could have like one win and still get in because
Yep.
you were just that lucky. Oh,
But,
that's
but
so
then
mean.
then you got to throw them into a buzzsaw, and they have to face the number 1 seed. And
Well, no, they would face the 5th seed in this case, because I do want something for the top players. Like if you've already qualified, well, you should go for that bye week then, right? So the top
Mm,
players aren't going to play the first round of the playoffs,
mm.
probably, depending on the
I'm
numbers.
curious. Yeah. I'm curious to ask you, Tortugatron, right before we end. Like, what goes through your mind like making these tournaments? So like what are you most interested in doing when you're coming up with these tournaments? Because I think you provide the most unique tournaments that are out there for Summoner Wars, which is just truly a blessing. I'm curious, like what, yeah, just just what's going through your head coming up with these? What are you looking for?
I mean, I just like novel experiences. I don't want to just do, the normal tournaments all the time, because like we already get those. Like Joe's tournaments are pretty much normal tournaments, right? Not too crazy with the rules. You pick your 4 factions, and it's like a normal tournament with different group stages, and other people have their tournaments, like Ciabatta does like the more of the team ones, and like that's a nice little wrinkle. But like the tournament as a whole is pretty straightforward for like the matchups and stuff. So I just want to do something completely different like every time for my tournaments. I feel like I'm not sure why I like that more. I don't know. It's just a novel experience. Is just what I'm
Yeah.
going for, and I've been doing that for a long time. Like in the first edition, I did all kinds of tournaments back when it was more difficult to do because we had to play them on Vassal for the most part. I ran a whole bunch of those, and then I guess Joe got busy, and then I took over doing the app tournaments on the old Playdeck app. I did like 11 of those or something.
Oh wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, he did the first one, and then it was too long. We were just waiting for the next one, and it wasn't happening. So I messaged him, and said, "Hey, mind if I just like take this from you and and just do it myself? I mean, you can help if you want." So we kind of like co-ran the next one, and then after that, it was just me doing it every time. I just talked to Colby about it, and I'm like, "Yeah, how about I just run these tournaments for you?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can run one every month." And I'm like, "No, no, thank you, Colby. How about we do one every 3 months?" And he's like, "Okay, deal." So
So did you
we did that
did you
for a while.
actually know Colby before, or did you just sort of barge in and like be that guy that like runs tournaments?
No, I just inserted myself. I've been bugging Colby for a long time without his consent.
Yeah, you would give stuff away, right? There'd be prizes. I remember
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
those, right?
He was gonna do $50 in store credit for every month. And then
Oh,
I said, okay, I don't want to be doing this continuously with probably some overlap. So yeah, so I just had him bump it up to $100 for the winner, and we did it, yeah, 4 times a year.
Yeah. One, I think, you know, probably maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but those tournaments like probably are what funneled me into competitive play at Summoner Wars. So, you know, good on you. Like you ran a tournament, and I was saying this on one of the other, I think when I was on with Aaron and Jexic, is like my buddy who introduced me to the game's like, there's this guy Water D. He says he can't be beat if he turtles in first edition. And then you ran a tournament, and I joined, and the rest is history. So I owe you one.
Yep, the beloved Water D of first edition, everybody's
Yeah.
favorite player. Before we understood. We didn't want to have the flaws pointed out to us.
Yes. Yes. Oh man.
Well,
I just
with
find it hilarious that you guys are real people now, as opposed to just figures from this these old forums of this game that I kind of stalked but never like jumped into till second edition.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be at Gen Con this year. I'm gonna be on vacation with my
No.
family, but I'm gonna miss that. That was fun to kind of, yeah, step into the these people are real like realm. That it was fun meeting up with Ben. But I may be in Chicago for a work trip, Ben, so maybe I'll look you up.
oh, let me know. There's some players around Chicago. Like we seems like there's more and more people here every day.
I think it's these regions. It depends on if there's an organizer. Like Breeze from Seattle just showed up in chat. And I think if there isn't one person being like, let's get together, let's get together, let's get together, then, you're just sort of aware, like, okay, there's these Chicago people. That's nice.
If all the Chicago people wanted to get into a van and drive 8 hours up to me in Minneapolis for free, I don't feel like driving down there. I don't like toll roads, so
Could be fun. Could be fun. Well, with that, we should probably wrap things up. Anything else? Anything else guys want to say before we call it quits?
Just a deep apology for that 0 for 2. You deserve the game. Consider it payback for the non-random faction in the last tournament.
yeah, right.
Oh, it goes around, comes
We're even
around.
now.
I was really hoping once I rolled for the win a couple times, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get one like on Orange Lazarus in front of everybody live. It's gonna be great because I remember back in first edition, like you were a good player, but it's just like nobody like feared you yet, right? It wasn't until second edition. And then when I came back to the game, I heard oh yeah, Orange Lazarus and these other people are playing like that I know from the past, and it's like yeah, Orange Lazarus, he's one of like the best players. I'm like, oh man, okay. So then I faced you in a couple of games, and the first couple of times that I faced you, I beat you, and I'm like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. But then I faced you more, and I'm like, oh okay, all right. I
It was all
definitely
part of
lose a
a
lot
plan to
more than I
crush your
win now.
spirit.
Yeah, I was keeping it pretty even record wise for you for a little bit, but not so much anymore.
We just played a game where I had no business winning. That you were polar dwarves. You had me dead to
Yeah.
rights, and somehow I won that game.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, thanks for
Happens to the
having us.
best of us.
Appreciate it, Ben and Fuzzy.
It is
Yeah.
always a pleasure.
Thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, it's wonderful to hear from you. And what an what an exciting game. Totally
It was
fair.
it
Whole way
was
through.
it was something.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I will see you guys around.
All right.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll have another scuffle. Hopefully, not hopefully, we will. We will have another scuffle in another 2 weeks. Yeah, tune in then. See you later.